Hello, everyone. My name's Lydia, and I research the behaviorist F. Charles Mace, who is also known as Bud Mace. Mace received his PhD in school psychology and has contributed to the behavior field for over 3 decades through research and practice. And he held faculty positions at several prestigious universities, including Lehigh University and the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. Mace holds several professional achievements in the field. He's been granted the F.D. Hank Award for distinguished contributions to basic and applied research from APA. He also received the Unicorn Children's Foundation Endowed Chair at Nova Southeastern University, where he served as the executive director of the Autism Institute of the university. His professional work also included being the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis and the editor of translational research for the Journal of Experimental Analysis of Behavior. He also, for a period of time, served as the president of the Society of Experimental Analysis of Behavior. With over 100 articles and chapters published relating to behavioral studies, Mace is one of the most highly cited researchers of behavioral psychology. He was ranked 6th among all applied behavior analysis in research productivity from 1992 to 2001 and 2004. While he participated in research that involved lab animals, Mace focused on populations that included children and adults with emotional and developmental disabilities. He was the director of the Achieve Laboratories School for Children with Emotional Disabilities. He is best known for his research on the functional analysis of severe behavior disorders, behavioral momentum, and the matching law in humans. Through all of his experiences, Mace focused on functional analysis and behavioral momentum in his literature. These typically involve small case studies involving individuals in a school or residential setting. Behaviors he studied included aggression, self-interest behavior, and harmful sexual behaviors. There are several articles that I found that include the Achieve program, which includes a point and level system for decreasing severe maladaptive behavior. So in the next several slides, I'm going to review some of the studies that Mace and his colleagues conducted and how they interpreted the results. I apologize for my cats. So in this Achieve program, each student started at a level 1, and the goal was to work your way up to a level 5 over the next few months. And the Achieve program uses a level system and an integrated point system. So as they mastered each level, they would move to higher levels and have their reinforcement thinned while having more privileges in the community, and their reinforcers would have greater value. They also earned reinforcers through the point system, where they engaged in targeted pro-social behaviors. They earned points that they could redeem as reinforcers every day. So the study was conducted because there are studies that argue that token economies aren't flexible enough to meet each individual's unique needs, which is why the Achieve program not only includes the point system, but also the level system. So with these boys who were in the school residential program from ages 15 to 19, this study showed through a correlational analysis where they observed an increase with the level status correlating with the decrease in the problem behavior of the 8 out of 9 boys. So the study kind of concludes how incorporating both systems can be beneficial for behavior momentum and decreasing maladaptive behavior. So this next study shows the multi-component behavioral intervention, how it reduces harmful sexual behavior in a 17-year-old male on the autism spectrum disorder. So this is another case that uses the Achieve program in their multi-component behavioral intervention. Mace and his colleagues identified that individuals with intellectual or other developmental disabilities don't always fully understand social norms around their sexuality, and because of this, their sexual behavior can escalate in severity if it's left untreated. So this case looks into reducing harmful sexual behavior in a 17-year-old with ASD. His behavior included sexual touching, gestures, comments, and threats. So the treatment program was made up of the Achieve program, active support, CBT, SRE, an offense-specific intervention, and a behavior contingency where this behavior contingency was added on the 66th week. So this case concluded that through the use of multiple behavioral interventions, the harmful sexual behavior decreased and pro-social behavior increased. With a focus on behavioral momentum, Mace and his colleagues studied methods to establish stimulus control and compliance with instructions. In this case, specifically evaluated an intervention to use to establish compliance through instructions in 2 to 3-year-olds with autism who had low levels of compliance. Their target behavior was to comply with both low probability and high probability instructions. So what the therapist did was wait for a pause in the child's activity and would say the child's name during a pause with food in their hand, with food being the reinforcer. As the child was about to take the food, the therapist would give the instruction, take it, which is the high probability instruction. So after compliance was maintained through this high probability, low probability instructions were slowly introduced. Food reinforcers slowly started to fade as enthusiastic praise increased and continued. Just after one session of intervention, compliance increased by 50% or above in these students and further increased to 80% or above after the second session. This study illustrates how behavior momentum through working with high probability behavior can achieve compliance through low probability behavior. Some uncommon elements that you'll find through Mace is that not only does he study individuals with emotional and developmental disabilities, he's also studied staff who work with these kinds of individuals. One case that I found involved training to avoid problem behavior related to restricting access to preferred activities. One reason for clients to even relapse is due to staff's ineffectiveness of training to prevent these problem behaviors. And a common motivating operation for problem behavior is denied or restricted access to preferred items or activities. So in this study, a training program was used as a card game and role-playing based on behavioral episodes that the staff has seen or has occurred in the past based off the specific research setting. Prior to the training, regarding restricted access, staff responded typically with distracting the client, and giving the client an alternative choice or saying yes and providing its contingency was very rare. So after training, the roles were reversed in every case. Giving a client an alternative choice or saying yes with a contingency was high after training, while distracting the client decreased. After training, there was a significant decrease as well in the training group's incidences per month, whereas the control group's incidences did not change. Charles Mace has influenced how physicians approach severe behaviors throughout the years of experimental and applied analysis. He's emphasized the importance of the magnitude of reinforcers being used and the learners establishing operations for successful behavioral outcome. Mace has provided the field with extensive research on aggressive and self-injurious behaviors that are harder to target and extinguish, so we can better understand and define the functions of behavior. And because of Mace's studies, behavior analysts now have enhanced ability to gain compliance from learners through behavioral momentum and have a better understanding of the learner's functions of behavior. The question that I would love to ask Mace if I were to meet him was, how did you find yourself in the specific field of behavioral psychology? How did this field stand out to you compared to other fields of psychology? Another question I have would be, what would you say is your greatest accomplishment in your experimental research that was successfully applied in how we implement ABA today? Another question is, what population of individuals did you enjoy working with the most and why? What behavioral research influenced you in your studies? And what do you hope for the future of ABA and experimental analysis? I hope that my biography of F. Charles Mace was interesting and helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.